It's Tuesday, 3 September. Welcome to the PDB Afternoon Bulletin. I'm Mike Baker, your eyes and ears on the world stage. Let's get briefed. First up, a mob of Turkish nationalists assaulted 2 U.S. Marines on Monday as they chanted, Yankee, go home. Well, obviously that's not very original, and accused the U.S. of crimes against Palestinians. Not to worry, I'm sure they're equally upset about the Hamas crimes against Israelis. We'll have the details from this incident. Also, an update out of Venezuela, where embattled dictator Nicholas Maduro has ordered the arrest of his chief political rival as he clings to power following a widely disputed presidential election. But first, our afternoon spotlight. I want to begin with a somewhat bizarre and certainly dramatic scene out of Turkey, where several U.S. service members were targeted by anti-American nationalists. 2 U.S. Marines were grabbed and assaulted on the streets of the port city of Izmir on Monday by a mob of 15 young Turkish nationalists who chanted, quote, Yankee, go home, as they jostled with the soldiers. During the assault, one of the attackers placed a bag over the head of one of the Marines as others held him immobile. That's according to a report from NBC News. The other Marine, restrained and unable to break free as the frenzy intensified, began shouting for help from passerby. At one point, another Marine attempted to help with at least one attacker throwing hands. That's how the kids say throwing punches nowadays. Other Marines in the area intervened, eventually with the assistance of local police, and the attackers were apprehended. While they were briefly evaluated at a hospital as a precaution, officials said the soldiers didn't suffer any injuries, and they were able to return to their ship, which had docked in port earlier in the week. Turkish police arrested 13 men and 2 women in connection with the incident, all members of the Turkish Youth Union. That's a small nationalist political party that opposes U.S. and European influence in Turkey and the wider region. The Turkish Youth Union later posted a video of the attack on social media, bragging that they had, quote, put sacks on the U.S. soldiers serving on the largest attack ship of the USA, end quote. Their caption continued, though, saying, U.S. soldiers who carry the blood of our soldiers and thousands of Palestinians on their hands cannot defile our country, end quote. Now, the 2 Marines were on a routine deployment with the U.S. Navy's WASP Amphibious Readiness Group, which had arrived in Izmir on Sunday after wrapping up training exercises with the Turkish naval forces, which makes sense given that Turkey is a member of NATO. Well, you wouldn't know it by this story, but they are. And the Marines were in civilian clothes at the time of the attack, by the way. National Security Council spokesperson Sean Savit said Tuesday, quote, we are troubled by this assault, really, on U.S. service members and are appreciative that Turkish police are taking this matter seriously and holding those responsible accountable, end quote. Coming up after the break, an update out of Venezuela where, well, not surprisingly, dictator Nicholas Maduro has ordered the arrest of his chief political rival as he deepens his crackdown on the opposition following the country's widely disputed presidential election. I'll be right back. Welcome back to the Afternoon Bulletin. In an escalation of his crackdown on political opposition, Venezuelan socialist dictator Nicholas Maduro ordered the arrest of presidential candidate Edmundo Gonzalez. Seriously, what else did we expect? I mean, a despot's got a despot. Actually, I don't know if the word despot can be used as a verb, but you get my point. The move comes as Venezuela endures unrest over the disputed results of its recent election, which Maduro claims, without evidence, that he won. Evidence from vote tally sheets and exit polling indicates otherwise, though, with Gonzalez appearing to have actually defeated Maduro by a significant margin. On Monday evening, a Venezuelan court officially authorized the arrest warrant for Gonzalez, leveling a series of severe charges against him. These charges, widely viewed as politically motivated because, well, they are, include the usurpation of public functions, forgery of a public document, incitement to disobedience, sabotage, and association with organized crime and financiers of terrorism. Attorney General Tarek William Saab announced that authorities intend to take Gonzalez into custody after he failed to respond to 3 separate summons related to the uploading of voting records, which the opposition claims prove his victory in the disputed 28 July election. Gonzalez, aware of the risks, obviously, went into hiding shortly after the disputed election, anticipating a crackdown from Maduro's regime. Gonzalez's disappearance made him a symbol of the opposition's struggle against authoritarianism. Human rights groups report over 1,700 demonstrators against Maduro are being held currently as political prisoners, and at least 25 people have died since the election. Maria Corina Machado, another key opposition leader, responded strongly to the news of the arrest warrant. She described the regime's actions as a clear sign that Maduro has lost touch with reality, asserting, quote, "The arrest warrant issued by the regime to threaten President-elect Gonzalez crosses a new line that only strengthens the resolve of our movement," end quote. Machado's statement reflects the sentiment among Venezuelans and the international community that Maduro's regime is increasingly isolated and desperate. Furthering the isolation, the Department of Justice, the DOJ, in collaboration with the U.S. Homeland Security Investigations, HSI, and the Department of Commerce, seized a plane owned by Maduro in the Dominican Republic. According to Attorney General Merrick Garland, the $13 million plane, described as the dictator's equivalent of Air Force One, was purchased through a straw company, violating U.S. sanctions. The plane was secretly exported from the U.S. to Venezuela via the Caribbean in April of 2023. Now, this seizure is rooted in U.S. sanctions and export controls. In 2019, then-President Trump signed an executive order prohibiting U.S. persons from conducting transactions with individuals acting on behalf of the Venezuelan government, explicitly targeting, of course, the Maduro regime. HSI flew Maduro's plane back to the U.S. on Monday, where it remains in custody, a U.S. official told Fox News, following an initial report by CNN. Attorney General Garland emphasized the continued commitment to enforcing sanctions and preventing U.S. resources from being used to support the socialist Maduro regime. And that, my friends, is the PDB Afternoon Bulletin for Tuesday, 3 September. If you have any questions or comments, please reach out to me at pdb@thefirsttv.com. Of course, if you're hankering for an ad-free experience, well, it's simple. Become a premium member of the President's Daily Brief by visiting pdbpremium.com. I told you it was simple. I'm Mike Baker. I'll be back tomorrow. Until then, stay informed, stay safe, stay cool.